Hello and welcome back to my channel. I am ever so slowly trying to catch up on my tag videos. This is the shelf respect tag and I was tagged several months ago actually by Bookshelves, so thank you so much for the tag. And let's jump right into the questions. Question 1, how do you organize your books on the shelves? So my bookshelf organization has undergone a lot of changes. And right now, I'll be so for real, it's not super organized, mostly because, well, I mean, it is, but not the way I want it to be. Mostly because I've been procrastinating, if we're being honest. Right now, it's mostly categorized just by genre. So I have classics on these shelves. I have, what do I even have? I have, oh, I guess there's more classics up there. I have a Frederick Bachman section. These are kind of like my favorites shelves are on these pages. Some favorites over here. My wrapped TBR, and I guess these whole shelves are TBR. So it's loosely organized, but not as much as I would like it to be. And I've been procrastinating on that. And also this bookshelf was made for like CD and DVD storage. So the shelves themselves are like narrow and it's not great. It's not great for books. So this is not going to be my permanent bookshelf or display, but this is what I have right now. I do have another shelf in the other room. On those shelves, I have a lot of middle grade chapter books for my kids. I have the shelves of books that I am either trying to sell on Pango or that I'm gonna take to a little free library, things like that. But this, I feel like, is my main shelf. Question 2, have you ever merged your collection with your significant other? Yes, technically. My husband does not really read. He has read, I think he likes to say he's read one book on purpose for fun since college. So he's not a reader and that's okay. But the time that he does read is when we go on road trips, and we go on fairly frequent road trips, sometimes just a couple hours or sometimes if we're camping on longer trips. But usually on road trips, I'll read a book aloud and he drives and listens. So doing that, let's see, I think we started doing that a decade ago. One of the first series we did was Divergent. Kind of go back and forth between nonfiction books and fiction, and sometimes he'll pick it, sometimes I'll pick. But yeah, usually that's how he reads. On the other shelf, I do have some of his old college textbooks. What else is on there of his? Just some of his old books that he still wants to keep, but he doesn't like read. So yes, technically they're merged, but he's not much of a reader and he does not add to the collection. Number 3, do you write your name and or the price paid in your books? I've actually never heard of people putting price paid in their books, but I think that's kind of a fun idea. Not for me though, because I do not like writing in my books. I don't like doing anything that could mar the way that they came to me, if that makes sense. I like keeping them in the condition in which I got them. But that's just me. I know obviously some people put the price paid, and I think that is a really cool way to look back and see how prices can change over time, and also just keeping track of the amounts that you spend or whatnot on these books. Do you keep all of the books you've read or only the most cherished? This is something else that has changed over time. I used to keep any book that was given to me or that I bought, and I had, I think at the largest my collection was 320 books, 330 books, something like that. And then we had to move a handful of times, and moving with books is not super fun. And oh my gosh, one time, if I can find the picture, I'll put it up. I was so not happy. The moving company did not take care of my books, and it was pretty devastating. Anyways, so on one of our moves, I downsized to about half of that. So then I had about 150, 160 books. And then shortly after we moved here, or that's not true. Shortly after I started booktube, whenever that was in the time frame of moving, I did a big unhaul video, and that's actually still one of my favorite videos, I think, that I've made. Anyways, and I went through my shelves and I got rid of a bunch more books that were just from my past, no longer served me, or that I knew I would never get to, things like that. So now, moving forward, my goal is to only be purchasing books that are either favorite books of mine or that I know I'm going to want to keep, either because of the author or the book. So usually I will read the book first and from the library most often, and then if I loved it and know I want to keep it, then I will buy a copy. I do have a few auto-buy authors, but I learned recently that can be, I don't know, I do definitely have Frederick Bachman and Leon Moriarty, I think, will always be auto-buy authors. but they might be the only two. I had other people on the list, but I learned recently that maybe that's not a great idea because full price for books can be pretty expensive, and I recently did not enjoy one of the books. So now moving forward, I think those are going to be my only 2 auto-buy authors unless something changes, and everybody else I'll read first from the library, and then if I love it and I know I want to keep it, then I will buy a copy for myself. And I love to buy books used. I really like buying books on Pango Books because I'd rather send my money to a real person than some big corporation. So yeah, that's me personally. Number 5, does the style and quality of your bookshelves and or cases matter? So yes and no. Yes, in the sense that, like, if I stop and think about it, it really bugs me that I have a CD case for my books. And I don't love dark furniture. So in an ideal world, yes, but also it serves its purpose for now, and that's what I have. And, you know, if I don't, like, it's not like every time I walk in the room, I'm like, ugh, you know? It's just, if I stop and think about it, sure, I would prefer something else. And someday I will, you know, get some shelves that fit more of my vibe. I don't necessarily need like sturdy wood furniture, but I want it to be able to fit my books and aesthetically look the way I would like it to look. I don't know what that is other than light furniture, and we'll just see. We'll see someday. Number 6, do you have any gripes or complaints about bookcase construction? I don't think so. Now I'm curious. Maybe as soon as I finish filming, something will come to me, but right now, I don't. Number 7, do you ever stack books horizontally? For aesthetic reasons, no, I have not. For practical reasons, i.e. running out of bookshelf space, I have, especially when I was growing up and I did not have enough shelf space in my bedroom for all of my books. So a lot of them went horizontally or back behind the books. You know, I got creative. Right now on the other bookshelf, I do have a couple books that are horizontal right now, again, because I ran out of shelf space. But so far for aesthetic purposes, I have not. I think that can be done really well. I feel like I have a creative eye in some things, but not necessarily in decor and things like that. I am much more of looking up ideas on Pinterest and trying to replicate. That's my vibe. So maybe someday when I get my dream bookshelf, because I think it also would be fun to have a handful of decor items or little flowers or things like that on my shelves as well. And I could definitely see doing some books horizontal and then a little flower or plant. I have an idea in my head, but that's someday. Number 8, what are your 5 favorite jackets or covers? That's a great question, and I feel like I don't really pay attention to covers a lot of times, unless it's a cover I don't like, which will be the next question. So covers don't really stick with me. Let me just examine some of the books on my shelf currently. Oh, I've talked about this one before, so I guess this is a repeat. I do think this is a really cool cover. I love the imagery for this book of people going down in the waves, but they're still struggling. They're still there. They're still surviving. They're making it through to the best of their ability. And so I feel like that just goes with the story. And so I do like this cover. This is quite an interesting cover, The Woman They Wanted by Shannon Harris. And it's got, you can see it's kind of like a mannequin. It's not a real person in the background. And again, the way that this goes with the story is this woman, the subtitle, Shattering the Illusion of the Good Christian Wife. And this memoir of a woman who was raised a certain way and was raised to be a certain type of woman, a certain type of Christian, a certain type of wife, and realizing some of the pitfalls of that. So I love this imagery of the expectation of being a mannequin or being a certain type of thing, even if it's not who you are. I don't know. I don't see any others necessarily. I just started looking at covers at random just to see if I had thoughts on them. I really don't have like favorites, I don't think. Question 9, what are your 5 most disliked jackets or covers and why? Okay, I don't really have specifics, but I have noticed that when I am choosing books, there's a certain vibe that I don't like, and I haven't really been able to put my finger on it other than certain types of fonts can really put me off. And I don't know the names of the fonts, so I don't know what they are. There have been titles that to me just reminds me of like a 90s PowerPoint. And if I see that, it tends to not make me want to read the book. So I don't know if it's just that, if it feels like an older font to me. I don't really know what my deal is, and I don't really like pay attention. So it's not like I've made a list or that 5 come to mind right now. I do have to say, this is kind of funny. One of the reasons that I put off reading Beartown for so long is because of the cover. I didn't love the cover. I thought it was going to be boring. Plus I knew it was a hockey story. So I think the combination, I knew it was a hockey story, and it looked, I think just because it was a village and it's kind of a darker cover, I thought it was just going to be this like kind of slow and boring vibe. And as we all know on this channel, this now lives in my brain every day in perpetuity as just such a good series, such a good book, amazing, amazing, amazing. So, you know, again, the old adage, don't judge a book by its cover because you never know. Number 10, is there such a thing as too many books? That's a good question, and I think my answer would be it depends. It depends on the person. For me, absolutely there is, because space issue, the money issue, and I've just really realized, like, I'm a very sentimental person, so I tend to want to not get rid of anything, but just over the years realizing, you know, that's not always practical, and really realizing that sometimes that also didn't serve me well because I was hanging on to things, and in this specific instance, books that were actually kind of holding me back or reminding me of things that I didn't want to keep remembering or things like that. So for me, yes, there is such a thing as too many books. And right now I do have very complicated thoughts on the book industry, consumerism, Amazon, AI. Like, all of these things are separate, but they're also all tied in together. It's very complicated, very convoluted. I don't like it, but I can absolutely see a situation when somebody, you know, maybe there's no such thing as too many books. You know, I know somebody who reads almost twice as much as I do, if not more than twice, and she has a goal of having a home library for her kids, for friends, for herself, for her education. And I love that. I absolutely think that could be a viable thing for some people. So I think it just depends on each individual and what that person wants and their goal in having books and whatnot. Number 11, tag someone else. I'm gonna tag Mimi from It's Mimi Duong, Ellen from the Ellen Made Book Club, and Reading Retriever. If I did not specifically tag you and you wanna do this tag, consider yourself tagged. Absolutely do this tag and let me know in the comments because I would love to see your video. And until next time, happy reading.